Hey, Tommy from the Run Testers with another first run review. This video I'm going to be taking a first look at the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 2. Let's take a look. Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 2 costs £175 or $200. It weighs in at 215 grams or 7.6 ounces for men in a size 8, and the drop is 8mm. Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 2 is a lightweight race shoe designed to provide propulsion and speed while still offering a good level of comfort. The second version sees updates to the carbon plate design and a new lightweight mesh upper to provide breathability. It also features a balanced Nitro Elite midsole foam and a healthy layer of Pumagrip outsole rubber for grip and durability. Fit for me in the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 2 is true to size. I found it quite comfortable. There's a nice bit of space in the toe box. I definitely stick true to size. Okay, so my first run in the Deviate Nitro Elite 2 was actually a race. It was the New Haven 10K race, which is a new race down near Brighton that I did, and I decided to use these shoes to do it. Nick used the Deviate Nitro Elite Original quite a bit. I only ran in it a couple of times because I got it quite late. Really enjoyed that shoe, thought it was a very good fast running shoe that was a little bit more conventional in the way it felt, but it did feel very lightweight. The Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 2 is a tiny bit heavier than its predecessor. It's not really noticeable when you're out on the run, it's minimal, but it has had a few updates to it that make it a little bit different from that shoe. One of the updates is that it's had this slightly updated carbon plate in it, and there have been some changes to the mesh design of the upper. So it's a slightly different shoe. It does run and feel very similar to the previous version, but it has those updates in it as well. So over the next few weeks, as I'm testing the shoe out more, we'll look into those changes and hopefully we'll see if there's a difference between those and the previous version. So that 10K race was on flat roads, and I headed out wanting to get as close to my PB as possible. My PB is 38.18 for a 10K, and I'm relatively fit at the moment, so I wanted to see if I could get a PB in these shoes. Always a bit of a risk when you try new shoes and you're going for a PB. Normally I would use something like the Vaporfly 2, the Alphafly, or maybe even the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3. So I gave this a go, and I wanted to see how it compared to those shoes, and I went for it. I was really trying my hardest to run as fast as I could on that course, and it was pretty flat and I was feeling pretty good. So I would have expected to get close to my PB if I was wearing my other shoes, if not get a new PB. So what I found about this shoe is that it does not feel like those super shoes that I've mentioned. It feels a lot more conventional in the way it's a lightweight racing shoe. The carbon plate that's in it, it's not as noticeable as those shoes. To be honest, I barely noticed the carbon plate when I was running in it. It doesn't feel like it's doing a lot in this shoe. Not a bad thing. It feels a lot more like a conventional racer as opposed to something like the Vaporfly or the Alphafly, where you really feel the combination of that ZoomX foam and the carbon plate in it. I didn't really feel it in this. It just felt fast and light. The other thing as well is that midsole foam is a bit firmer than what you'd find in a lot of super shoes. It's definitely firmer than shoes like the Vaporfly, the Alphafly, and the Endorphin Pro 3. That's not a bad thing, but if you're looking for a feel that is similar to those shoes, you're not going to get it from the Nitro Elite 2. It's just a bit firmer and rides in a very different way than those shoes. It feels fast. It feels very fast and lightweight. I could definitely pick up the pace nicely in this and get to my top pace. But what I did find over the course of that 10K that I did in it was that it wasn't quite right for me at that race pace at 10K distance. There's not a lot of bounce in this shoe. It's a little bit firmer, but there's also not a lot of soft bouncy feeling to that midsole foam that you get in those other super shoes, which I really like. I find that feeling really just helps the legs when you're running, gives you a bit of bounce, and just helps with your efficiency of running. I didn't get that from this. It just felt light and fast. It's a shoe that's designed for multiple distances. For me, I think it's best served for 5K, 10K distances. I don't think I'd want to run half marathon or a full marathon in this. I don't think it'd be a problem. I think it's got enough cushioning to do that, and I think I could comfortably finish those marathons. I just want a bit more softness and a bit more bounce in my marathon shoes, and I just don't get it from this shoe. The turnover is nice and nippy. It definitely gives you the ability to run at quite a nice pace, but I would say that it doesn't have the propulsion, the forward propulsion that you get with some other shoes. It doesn't feel like it's tipping you forward. Again, not a bad thing, but if that's what you're used to in your super shoes, then you won't get it from this shoe. It just feels very much like a conventional fast shoe. The outsole is fantastic. It's Pumagrip. Pumagrip is one of the best outsoles you can get on shoes, and if you can get it on a race shoe and still have a shoe that's quite light, it's really, really good. And quite often when I'm running around Brighton, it can be quite wet, it's quite hilly around here, so Pumagrip does a great job on all those different surfaces, where some of the shoes I've got turning around corners and things like that probably wouldn't be good when it gets wet, especially down on the coast. Pumagrip on these shoes is equally as good as on some of the other Puma shoes. It's fantastic outsole and does a really good job at gripping to all those road surfaces. So my verdict on the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 2 is that it is a really nice fast shoe, but one that fits more in the conventional feel of a fast shoe as opposed to some of the super shoes that you can get at the moment. Price at £175 is pretty good when you compare it with some of the costs that are coming out for super shoes at the moment, with things like the Endorphin Elite from Saucony costing £280. It's a pretty big drop from that, but it's a very different shoe, and I'd probably go as far as to say it is a good shoe for faster running and training. I don't think it's a great race shoe. I don't think it's up there with some of the top super shoes out there. I definitely wouldn't compare this to the Alphafly, the Vaporfly, the Pro 3, just because it's not the same sort of shoe. It's a good, fast training shoe for people who want a little bit less from their shoe, like they don't really want Zoom X and things like that. In fact, I'd probably compare it more to shoes like the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3 than super shoes designed to be used for racing, because it has a lot more in common with those shoes. It's just a very nimble, fast, enjoyable, lightweight feeling shoe, but it doesn't have a lot of the features that you expect from some of the more expensive super shoes. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Again, I really like this shoe. I just don't think it is up there with the super shoes and what people have come to expect with super shoes at the premium price level. That's a pretty good price, especially when compared with a lot of shoes around at the moment. So it's not the most expensive race shoe out there. It's just probably not one of the best ones if you want the best option for your races. And I would say over half marathon and marathon distance, I think those other super shoes far outweigh it when it comes to features, because it's a good shoe, but it just doesn't have the feel and the bounce and the propulsion that I'd want from my super shoes when I'm doing those longer distance races. When compared with the Puma range, I think that it is one of the best shoes that Puma do. I definitely go for this over the Fast R. I think that the Fast R is a little bit of a niche shoe. I think it's a good shoe, but I don't have many uses for that shoe. I'd prefer to use this for any distance, I think, from 5K all the way up to marathon over the Fast R. I just think this is a more versatile shoe and more comfortable to wear. It has a much more conventional feel, whereas the Fast R just feels a bit strange in comparison to some other shoes out there. It's a good shoe, but it just doesn't, just seems to have a specific purpose. So yeah, good shoe, a little bit limited when you compare it with some of the other options out there, but it's a bit cheaper as well. So yeah, looking forward to do a few more miles, and Nick will be involved as well, so you'll get his thoughts and his comparisons with the previous version of the shoe. That's it from me. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, click the little bell, all those sorts of things. And if you go in the caption below, you can find a link to our monthly podcast, where if you like it, leave us a little message and a rating, and so other people can find it as well. Thanks a lot for watching. Catch you next time.